So the teams break and we can now take a check on the numbers and the lineups. Crystal Palace are absolutely unchanged. Steve Coppell electing to keep Ian Wright in reserve on the bench, even though he played him in a practice match yesterday. So Phil Barber keeps his place wide, having come off on Saturday, and we'll see the tactical formation unfold when the game gets underway. But it's the same two substitutes, Wright and Madden. As for Manchester United, well, Alec Ferguson made up his mind before today, but kept it a tight secret, especially from the morning papers. The 10 outfield players are the same. Gary Pallister is fit after intense treatment on his ankle, but the big news is that Jim Leighton is dropped. And Les Sealey, on loan from Luton, after only 2 senior matches this season, both for Manchester United, at 32 years of age, gets a surprise call-up, although he has played at Wembley before for Luton in the Littlewoods Cup and the CMOD Cup finals. Well, one of the spectators tonight at the age of 80, nearly 81 in fact, Samat himself, who was born in the year that Manchester United first won the FA Cup, 1909, and has had some great years associated with the Old Trafford club. Will he see them win the Cup tonight, I wonder, for the 7th time, which would equal the record? Or are Crystal Palace going to put their name on the trophy for the first time in their history? Manchester United in red and white have kicked off and are playing from right to left in the first half. And immediately Richard Shaw pushes in on Neil Webb, and Sulaco picks up McClare. That was how it was on Saturday. This is Steve Bruce. And there goes Mark Hughes. Andy Thorne was with him. That's the first foul of the night. And it was Steve Bruce who felt it. Bruce again. Offside, was he, Hughes? Thomas, Webb, Pardew, Shaw, blocked by Robson. So 5 minutes gone. Wright's there, so is Barber. Pardew closing in, and so was Mark Wright. And that's the first test for Les Sealey, and the United players are furious. It was a rough and tumble challenge, and I suspect it'll mean a booking. Mark Bright was the player who went in, and heavily he did too, and Les Sealey's stunned before he's really had a chance to make a save or get a feel of the ball. It's a booking for Mark Bright. Yellow card. Trevor.
Well, quite right. There was never any danger he was going to get the ball. And as you see, as the ball comes across, Les Sealey really, for his first cross, looking to deal with it comfortably, and really went up with his feet and his hands.
And Bright's up with the keeper again, and Les Sealey does well to hold on. They're really trying him out, aren't they? Putting a lot of nervous tension on him and shaking him up in the first few minutes. It's clear that that's a Palace policy. It's not strictly legitimate, but it's a test of nerve for Les Sealey, who, as I say, hasn't had much first-team football this season. Hasn't played at all for Luton, it might be said. But the 2 games he did play for Manchester United, both were won, so that might be an omen. Hughes, McClare. Martin's header. Then Pardew, then O'Reilly. Looks for Bright. Pallister. Oh, well played, Robson. Really dug in there, Brian Robson. It was the long ball again from Martin. This is O'Reilly. Robson, so much hinges on him tonight, having to lift himself again on the big occasion. Oh, Hughes gets bundled over. It was Andy Thorne, I think, wasn't it? Alec Ferguson's very unhappy about these tackles, Trevor.
Well, it was another bad tackle. Certainly being spoken to quite rightly, Andy Thorne, because it's the classic from behind through the legs, isn't it? I mean, the ball's played up to Mark Hughes, it's dropped in front of him. Here it is, Stevie Bruce drops it in. Mark Hughes comes to collect. There's no way through for the defender to get a touch with the ball without chopping the legs first.
Bobby Robson, second row from the back. He's made the newspapers today. My Dutch colleague, who's broadcasting for their national television station, seems to think there's some truth in the story about the possibility of PSV Eindhoven. Anyway, more of that another time. Les Seeley's got other things on his mind. A set play for Palace. Right in the thick of it there, Gary O'Reilly and Mark Bright. And Bright's there with Pallister. This is Pardew. Gray. O'Reilly's still forward. Martin. That's good defending. Webb played it a bit short though. Play on, says Alan Gunn. Bright's making ground in the centre. It's too long for him. Webb. That's a good ball. McClare. Webb again. Ince. Oh, that's taken. That's offence number 2 for Alan Pardew. That's got to be a booking, surely. I think he knows.
Quite right as well. There was no question. Paul Ince had skipped, as you see, just toes it past the tackle, tries to ride it. Not able to ride that one. That was what, knee high, quite rightly, second Palace man in the book.
There's the young man who came on with such devastating effect on Saturday, Ian Wright, but back on the bench to start tonight. Bright, Barber. Bright goes again, handball was it? Free kick given. Now there's danger here. Jeff Thomas and Alan Pardew and Andy Gray gathered round the ball. Gray would love a strike. 20 minutes gone and he's placing it. This is all part of the ploy by Crystal Palace to delay the free kick being taken. And it's Gray! Oh, saved by Seeley's legs! That's a good stop. It may even be a brilliant stop. There's a foul anyway. Now Palace are protesting because it seemed to me that Jeff Thomas was fouled. Now what's Alan Gunn given? Or was there an earlier offence? Or is it merely a throw-in? Crowd still buzzing with the save. It was Thomas who was fouled. It must be a free kick, surely, which it will now be. And Barber to take it. Now they've got Thorne still in there, and O'Reilly. And Bright. Bright gets to the back post, that's out, goal kick. And I think we can now praise Les Sealey, Trevor, for a fine save from Andy Gray.
It was a particularly good save. It's an awful wall that goes through the gap, and really, it was very fortunate for Manchester United. It was almost straight at Les Sealey.
Into the last minute of the first half then. Bruce. Phelan. McClare's made a run down the right, but that's not a good enough ball to find him. McClare. Corner given. Right at the end of the first half. Phelan's leaving it for Danny Wallace. Alistair is well forward. Bruce is in there. Here's Ince. Good play by Paul Ince. Tries to put McClare in. And Sealey waits for that to come through quite comfortably. He's been fairly well protected. And we're into time added on for stoppages at the end of the first half. And it's Paul Ince who's down. And there will be a moment's delay because the Manchester United physio is on the pitch. Well, he seems to be enjoying himself. We're well into stoppage time at the end of the first half, and there'll be a bit more now for the injury to Paul Ince. That's as the camera looks across from the far side by the Royal Box, and of course it's from there that the cup will be presented tonight in some, or to one of these two teams, whatever happens in the second half, or indeed in extra time if we have it, with the possibility of penalties still looming large. Here's Robson. And Ince is not happy at all, he's hobbling, which might be a blow for Manchester United. He'll be glad to get back to the dressing room, I would think, if that's any sign. Here's Webb. And Alan Gunn blows to bring the first half to a close. Not a particularly memorable one, I have to say. Very few scoring opportunities, if any. Alec Ferguson saw his goalkeeper make one save from the free kick by Andy Gray as the ball came through the wall, which would be a relief to Les Sealey, who seems to be quite happy and has shown good temperament. But the two teams still cannot be parted at this stage of the FA Cup final replay. At half-time, the score is Crystal Palace 0, Manchester United 0. So at the start of the second half, there's no score in the FA Cup final replay at Wembley, and Crystal Palace are playing now from right to left, and this is Lee Martin. Free kick given, and Mark Hughes, Gary O'Reilly. Hughes is all right again. Bruce is making his way forward. Driven long towards Hughes, he's trying to hold it up and turn. And bundled over, my word. This is Wallace. There's a break on, if he can keep it in, and he has, and they're trying to get Thomas forward in the middle, and that's a good sliding challenge by Pallister to stop Bright. So it's a corner to Palace at the beginning of the second half, and Thorne and O'Reilly make their way towards the near post. Gray's in there as well. Gray and Sealey. Thomas, wide again to Barber. And they're still queued up in the centre. O'Reilly's in there. Solarco. Brian Robson, the last man back. And now I think it's Mark Bright that's gone down following a challenge by Steve Bruce. Well, it's all rather hectic. Helter-skelter stuff, and Steve Coppell's team still sticking to their original tactics. Yes, the disabled enclosure part of the Wembley scene at the moment, and that's good to see. In this all-seater stadium, with its new 80,000 capacity. Jeff Thomas, good play with his left foot. Ince challenging well as they scrap it out in midfield, and United come away with the ball. McClare. Wallace. Bruce. Alistair. Webb. This is Ince. And Robson's made a good through run. It's still Ince. He's trying to find a better angle. Wallace. Signs that Ince is back at full pace. Phelan. Oh, well, the linesman's back. It's still Phelan, though. There was a foul, a bad foul, actually, when the ball had gone, but the referee played an advantage. United are protesting about that. I think it might have been Solarco who brought him down. It's Danny Wallace. And Brian Robson's angry, and Ince is angry, because they think the free kick should have been given. But the linesman said foul. Alan Gunn saw that United still had Phelan in possession and wanted to play on an advantage. That's the reason for the argument. Now, Danny Wallace was the player who was hurt. Michael Phelan plays the first ball down the line. Now, there's the foul. But you see the flag up, but Alan Gunn says play on, and he was in a good position, Phelan, and United wouldn't have complained if a goal had resulted, so they can't have it both ways, can they, Trevor?
I totally agree with Alan Gunn, the referee. There's no doubt Michael Phelan had a couple of yards away from his marker and just couldn't quite get his cross in, but he should have really made it perhaps tell more than he did, but it was a nasty tackle. Solarco, Danny Wallace.
Not all the fouls have been one way, I have to be fairer, but that was a foul by Brian Robson on the far side. So it's a free kick now to Palace. There's the Palace bench with Ian Branfoot and Alan Smith alongside Steve Coppell, hoping maybe that Gary O'Reilly or Mark Bright can get on the end of this. Barber's in there with them. O'Reilly was in the thick of it, so was the referee as it happens, Thomas. And a break by Webb, and they've got four up Manchester United here. To his right, Danny Wallace. McClare in the middle with Hughes. And not the cross you would want from Danny Wallace in that position, Trevor, was it? Really disappointing.
Well, he doesn't need to be told, because didn't really even have to go past his man there. There was four Manchester United players who had all soared through into the penalty area, and really you're just waiting for a cross, and he acknowledges one or two shouts. Come on, you can do better than that.
Actually, Danny Wallace has got a couple of old pals on the bench, because the two Palace substitutes, Ian Wright used to play with him as schoolboys, and David Madden was at Southampton with him. But all of that's slightly incidental to a rather poor piece of finishing. Ballister. Now, are we going to see a goal in this Cup final replay? It's all so very, very tight, isn't it? There's never been a 0-0 in a Wembley FA Cup final, up to now. Here's Gray, Brian Robson bustling in, then Lee Martin, and Gray appeals to the referee. He's angry now. In fact, it's all a bit tense, isn't it, Trevor?
Well, he got the free kick. I'm not sure what he was complaining about there.
Ince having to hurdle another tackle, and now McClare, he's into the centre much more in the second half. You know, he's moved in from the right hand side, Brian McClare, and he's having some good play and some good touches. This is Wallace. Webb. Lee Martin from left back, an inspired run on the far side. A chance here, and a goal! What a tremendous run! And Manchester United have taken the lead, and Lee Martin made a run from left back that was, 40, 50 yards, took it on his chest and smashed it with his right foot, past Nigel Martin, and after an hour's play, Manchester United are in front in the cup final because Andy Gray couldn't get to him, and it's the roof of the net. Towards Hughes and O'Reilly again. McClare. Hughes sends McClare to the left. Hughes in the middle with Webb and Robson. Goal kick. Well, here's the lad who made the difference when he came on in the first game, and it's going to be a similar substitution. Barber off and Ian Wright on. Can he do the trick again for Crystal Palace? He'll play up front with Bright. Change of formation possibly. Although we'll have to see if they leave Shaw on Webb. But Webb's got away once and it could be vital. It was his pass. Wallace. Thomas. Bright. So he has a chance again. They're looking for an offside and they've got it against Webb. Well, are Manchester United going to make it 7 wins in the FA Cup? Sir Matt Busby certainly hopes so. They're in front at the moment. In this, their 11th FA Cup final, equalling that particular record. But Crystal Palace will have other ideas. There are 4 of them gathered around here in the middle for this free kick for where it drops. United have decided to try and push up a little bit. Gray and Bright and Wright closing in as Pallister half clears. Corner. Corner kick. Thorne and O'Reilly are on the post. Wright is in there, so is Gray. O'Reilly, oh, it didn't run for him. He scrambled against Seeley's legs. And very, very close. The goalkeeper takes credit again. Les Seeley was in the right place. It was very, very close. You can see from this, watch Gray number 4 there in the crowd. There's O'Reilly. It comes off Webb. That's Gray. It was Gray. Bruce, Seeley, maybe even a post.
I think Manchester United mustn't just sit back and try and hang on to the 1-0. Crystal Palace obviously got to push extra men forward, and after what we've seen so far this season, these last 20 minutes, I'm still, without any conviction, going to say who's going to win this one.
This is Pallister trying to cover for Wright. Bright tries to close in. Brian Robson, another one of those life-saving tackles. Just look at that. The man's energy absolutely limitless. Now, has it got the same stamina? He's charging forward. Hughes to the left. And turned back by Pemberton. Webb. Tries to find Wallace. Well played by Danny Wallace. Hughes! No, good challenge O'Reilly. Now Thomas for Palace. To Salako. Now that's aimed at Ian Wright, and Seeley will need to judge the bounce. Oh. Ince. O'Reilly and Hughes. Ince. Can he take it on from here? Maybe Webb can. It's Neil Webb's shot. Now, Neil Webb made the goal. No question about that. And it really was good appreciation of what was happening on the other side of the pitch, because what was happening was Lee Martin had sneaked in ahead of Andy Gray, and that's a fabulous move really by Manchester United, the best of the match. Now Webb. Goodness me, that's a good run by Neil Webb. He's beginning to show that he's recapturing a bit of the sharpness, Trevor, isn't he?
Well, he is, and of course now Richard Shaw's gone back to left back. He is really the extra man in midfield, and all Manchester United have got to do is funnel it through him all the time. From Crystal Palace's point of view, because the onus is on them, they're hitting those long balls at the moment, aren't they?
Here's Bright, and Seeley has gone down. But the goalkeeper, as Bob Wilson was saying, showing no sign of nerves, and referee wants a word with Mark Bright about the challenge on him. Bright, bear in mind, was cautioned in the first half, and Les Seeley needs attention.
I think it was close enough for the forward to feel he could just dive in, especially when you're 1-0 down. There, as you see, he's just got that side of him. Les Seeley's always going to just make it, but once you slide in like that, there's no way of pulling on the brakes, and Les Seeley will have felt it. But at 1-0 up, I think he's quite enjoying the evening and won't want to go off at this stage. But I think Crystal Palace's service into the front two has been disappointing. They're hitting a lot of long balls, and really, I think Wright in particular is very good at turning and running at people, but at the moment he's not had a decent ball into feet, and that's how I think they're going to have to play to his strength.
Well, the United fans are already singing their songs. It may be premature, because as we've seen in the semi-final and on Saturday, you don't take anything for granted against Crystal Palace. That was off the head of Andy Thorne. Well, I wonder whether the two England players in midfield can keep their grip on this match. Webb with the throw, Robson making the run. They're very involved. You can see them there, look. Flags up. Yes, Brian Robson was fouled. He's right in the thick of it, as always. Now, Mark Hughes and Brian McClare are over on the far side of the area where Robson is going now. Neil Webb to take the free kick. They're not risking anybody else forward. Significantly, Bruce and Pallister have stayed back for this one. Robson! Oh, against the bar! And nobody able to seize on the rebound for United, but Lee Martin did in the end, and Robson's there again. Well, I don't know what you can say about the England captain that hasn't been said so many times before. So close to making it 2-0. Here's Salaka. Handball, they shouted. Well, that would have been all over, wouldn't it, if he'd put that one in, Trevor?
He's had an excellent game, Brian Robson, very inspiring. It was a magnificent header when you think Gary Pallister and Steve Bruce weren't up for the first time, and they suddenly got a header in the penalty area. Wallace's cross, and it's going away harmlessly. Well, this is the free kick taken by Neil Webb, one England player. We were just mentioning the pair of them a moment ago. Here's Robson, who wins it really well, and the goalkeeper, well, he was a spectator, Nigel Martin, because the header was so good, but it came back off the bar. Right, offside. He's offside. It was Andy Gray who was through. They were off their seats back there in the crowd, but the linesman on the Royal Box side, Larry Watson, was flagging. Well, Manchester United must make sure they don't flag now, because the FA Cup is a little nearer perhaps even than it was on Saturday to Old Trafford.
They think so. Offside. Just over 10 minutes of normal time, and David Madden's going to come on in a moment for Crystal Palace. I think it's John Salako who's going off. Forward by Thorne, and they're piling in on the far side here, and Manchester United have got a bit of defending to do yet. That was Lee Martin, the goal scorer, who got the ball away. Steve Coppell was the man who threw it back, not surprisingly. That's Bright with the flick on, away by Pallister. Now, can it be held here? Oh, that's good football by Mark Hughes. This is Michael Phelan. Wallace. Trying to hold it up a bit for United. Well, Wallace thought it should have been a corner. The linesman said no. There's a minute to go. Still, they've got the three lined up front, Crystal Palace. That's aimed at Bright, and it's flicked on, looking for Gray. Ince. Webb. They're trying to cut off the pass back, but Les Sealey was ready for it.
Yeah, one feature of tonight's game, which I haven't enjoyed, has been most of the players have always, whenever a decision's been given, have felt they've got to back check the linesman or referee, and I hope all the watching youngsters looking in at the game tonight don't try and copy that, because it's not been a good example this evening.
Celebration has started up there. He still knows so much about the game that he won't take it for granted yet, Sir Matt. Shaw. Ince. Madden. We've played the 90 minutes, we're into stoppage time. Jeff Thomas challenged by Paul Ince. Thorne. O'Reilly. Now Gray is chasing this, so is Bright there. And there's Wright with a chance. Wright, side netting. And it might be fair to say Les Sealey had it covered anyway. But their hearts would have been in their mouths down there. Archie Knox and Alex Ferguson. Brian Kidd makes a point from behind. But look at this here. Ian Wright still a threat. Yes, he had it covered. Alan Gunn checks his watch. Robson for United. And Hughes chasing. And what's going to happen here? Well, he's running to the goalkeeper. We've played a minute of stoppage time already. The referee says to Mark Hughes, calm down. Flag up on the far side. Offside. It isn't the final whistle. It's an offside. Manchester United have won the FA Cup and equalled the record of 7 outright wins. Palace slumped to the ground. Manchester United celebrate Alex Ferguson's first major trophy at Old Trafford. Thanks to a goal by a home-produced player. He spent £13 million and the man who got the goal didn't cost a penny. The England captain outstanding. And Manchester United have the time to console unhappy Palace players who've given so much on Saturday, but Steve Coppell's team finally made to look second best as the Manchester United supporters salute a most unlikely man with a Cup Winners' Medal, Les Sealey. Who would have believed this a week ago? He came in place of Jim Leighton and did everything that was asked of him. An on-loan goalkeeper facing a free transfer has won an FA Cup Winners' Medal, and just look at that man's face. The years seem to have fallen away there from Alex Ferguson after a season of torment and tribulation. He embraces his players because this victory, well, they had to win it in many ways, didn't they, Trevor? And Pallister came through as well with flying colours.
Well, I think the experienced men did him proud this evening. Gary Pallister, I thought, had an excellent game at the back, won a lot of the balls in the air. And to be fair, Crystal Palace did concentrate on hitting the long ball in, and with his height, Gary Pallister did dominate there. But Brian Robson, as I say, Neil Webb will be pleased. But there, Lee Martin, I wouldn't like to know what the odds were on him being the opening goal scorer tonight, but I shouldn't think there's going to be many collecting their winning bets.
And we got a glimpse there of the famous old trophy, didn't we? The road to Wembley is finally over, and Sir Matt Busby sees Manchester United win the FA Cup at Wembley that is, for the 6th time, and that in itself is a record. So Brian Robson goes up to receive the most famous trophy in football for a record 3rd time. Manchester United equal the record of Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur. They win the FA Cup for the 7th time. Behind Brian Robson come the other players with the winners' medals. Mark Hughes, Les Sealey, he can't believe it, look at that. Extraordinary story, isn't it? Really is. Neil Webb, who made the goal and may have made the World Cup 22. In the picture there. Steve Bruce, Michael Phelan, Danny Wallace. And as for Lee Martin, he couldn't have believed, surely, that he'd be the man to score the winning goal. Gary Pallister came through, and Brian McClare, well, they offered so much in the FA Cup this season, especially in the semi-final, and again on Saturday. But in the end, it'll be losers' medals for Crystal Palace, as Jeff Thomas leads them forward. The first medal he's had since he was a 10-year-old schoolboy, he was telling me, but it's not a winner's medal. Nigel Martin, Andy Thorne, who won with Wimbledon but loses here. Gary O'Reilly, who scored in the first game. They're chanting Steve Coppell's name, the supporters, because they appreciate that this really is something of a fairy story, even getting to Wembley. They are the FA Cup holders. Mark Robins there didn't play a part tonight, didn't use the subs Alex Ferguson. And the team that he picked, and in particular the gamble on the goalkeeper, Trevor, really paid off.
Well, fully justified, isn't it? I mean, Les Sealey is one of those laid-back characters. You could see he seemed to be enjoying every minute. Made 1 or 2 telling saves. Strange enough, not with his hands, with his shin, knee and feet. And they're just comparing their medals there. That's the 3rd team on the pitch, isn't it? The referee and the linesman. And I would say overall they had a good couple of matches. As Manchester United celebrate, I would just say for Palace, I think we ought to try and tidy up the loose ends. There was a penalty protest in the first half that might be debated, but it's a little bit of history now, because with the reserves there who didn't play joining in, Manchester United have the usual picture taken for the group of photographers down there. And as the goal scorer Lee Martin holds up the trophy, the final score in the 1990 FA Cup final replay, Manchester United 1, Crystal Palace 0.